Hi, today I'll be doing some maintenance and calibrating my Prince P7000 stringing machine. Alright, let's get started. Alright, so we'll start off with some maintenance on your string clamps and your string clamp rails. What you'll need is a rag. I have a microfiber cloth here, a toothbrush, compressed air, and alcohol. I always like to use a 91% isopropyl alcohol. Alright, so you're going to start off with your toothbrush. I'm going to lock my turntable first. And what you want to do is get inside of the teeth of the clamp and just get whatever you can out of there. And you're going to brush inside of there. You can go between the teeth. And I'll do that first. Then when you're done with that, you get the compressed air and you just blow whatever might have come off of your clamps and off of your machine. I would even do the rest of your turntable just to get anything that did come off from your clamps. All right, and you can also do the same thing for your tension head gripper. So you can go ahead and get the brush, just kind of lightly brush in there. Get your alcohol that's on the rag. Actually, I'll go ahead and blow this first. And then get your rag, fold it in half, and just try to get it right inside of there. And clean that. All right, so now we're ready to do the rails. What I'm gonna do is again, spray the alcohol on top of the rag. And on my machine, I can't take off my string clamp bases, so I just have to work around it. There's some other machines that you can actually take it off, which is really convenient. So I even try to get underneath the base of the string clamp, so you want to try and catch that if you can too. And I'm going to turn this turntable around. All right, so yeah, you just want to get that nice and clean. Now, as far as how often you should clean your stringing machine clamps and your rails, it really depends on the kind of strings that you're using. If you have some strings that have a lot of that coating on there that's slippery, you should do it more often. And if you're stringing natural gut, especially if it's all natural gut, I would definitely just go ahead and clean it. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get inside of the teeth of the clamp. So I'll show you this right here. So you're gonna just run the rag right through the teeth of the clamp. I'll usually go back and forth. I'll even clamp down on it and just make sure that it's pressing down on the rag, and then also get in between the teeth of the clamp. Now, if I was stringing at a pro tournament, I always make it a habit to clean my machine at the end of the day, because I want to come back the next day and have a nice clean machine to start off the day. So again, it depends on your situation, but yeah, you should use your best judgment as far as when you think you know, it'll be needed. All right, so that's the cleaning of the clamps and the tension head gripper. All right, so next we're going to get into the lubrication of your clamps. And what you want to do is make sure that you're getting the, we're going to use light grease, but right in the contact points where the handle where it goes down is in contact with the rest of the clamp right there. That's where you want to put some grease, but you don't want to like put a lot, so you have to just be really careful how you put it in there. So what I use is it's a light grease. It's from a bike shop actually. So, and this one happens to be white. So after I apply it, you'll be able to see where I put it. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and clean off the clamps so that the grease that I had here previously just doesn't build up. And I like to use these contractor heavy duty paper towels. And what I do is I just rip off a piece, but I keep folding it in half and half, and then cut it into these small pieces. And basically I'm just gonna use it once and then just throw it away. All right, so I got my alcohol. I'm gonna spray it down, I'm just gonna go ahead and clean the posts and everything that was already that's on there, you know, the previous grease. So I'm gonna go ahead and I should be able to use this one piece of paper towel for this one clamp. So I'm gonna go ahead and get it under the clamp, under that handle like that, and just kind of clean in there. So I just want to make sure that the grease that I'm going to apply is not going to be like a buildup from previous times that I cleaned the clamp. All right, so we'll do the second clamp the same way. Yeah, so I'm just lifting this up. I'm pretty sure other machines are pretty similar, so you can apply this same method of cleaning the same way. All right, so it's cleaned off. So I'm gonna grab my tube of grease here. Oh, it fell out of my hand. All right, so I'm gonna grab this tube here. And what I want to make sure is I'm not going to just put the grease right on top of the clamp. So I'm going to just be very careful about that. So I usually just put it on the rag, or I mean the paper towel, and just put a little bit, because all you want to do is really coat that surface with a little bit of grease. So I mean there's very little on there, if you can see that. So I'm just going to go ahead and fold that in half, and I'm gonna go ahead and lift the handle up and try and get this paper towel edge that has the grease on it right under there. And I'll bring it up closer so it looks like that. And I'm just gonna move my handle down. So basically, I'm getting it right inside of there and the base where it's actually touching. So I might put a little bit more grease right there on that part, because when you clamp down, it's actually going to be touching. So that's all I really need for that. I don't want to get too crazy with the grease. In fact, if there's any grease that's showing that's not in contact with each other, I'll go ahead and just wipe that off so it's not like getting really messy. Yeah, so there it is. I mean, you can't see it, but maybe you can see it if I lift this up, or maybe not, but oh, you can see a little bit of white there. So that one's done. Go ahead and do the second clamp the same way. Put a little bit too much in this one. All right, so again, I'll just fold it in half where I put the grease, and I'm gonna lift the handle up, slide that under there like that, and kind of use the handle to get the rest of the grease in there. All right, so I'm going to just wipe off the parts of the clamp where the contact of these two parts are not, where there's no contact between these two parts. So yeah, having it lubricated, make sure clamps clamp down really easily, and it gives a nice feel to your clamps. So you definitely want to make sure that you lubricate your clamps when you're cleaning it. All right, so now we're going to get into calibrating your machine. And I have a Prince P7000 machine. So if you have another type of machine, you'll need to refer to your stringing machine manual. Some of the things that I'll do will be similar, but this is specifically for this model machine. The instructions that come with the machine is not very specific on how to do it. So this would be good for anyone that has again, a Prince P7000. All right, so on the right-hand side of the machine, there's a plug that you have to remove. And there's a hole in there that the screwdriver that comes with your toolkit has to be inserted to. And then you find the screw that it's supposed to be used to turn to set the calibration. But I find it really hard to even find the screw because there's no light in there. And even if I shine a flashlight in there, it's like really hard to find. So what I had to do was remove this panel right here. So The panel, you can remove it using the Allen wrench that came with your machine. It's the smallest size one of the 4. And then the screws that you're removing, there's 4 of them. They look like this. All right, so there's those 4 screws. And then I'm gonna lift this panel up, and then I'll show you another view where you can actually see what I'm looking at. All right, so I'm lifting up the panel, and if you look very carefully where I place this all, there's a blue part right there. And in that blue part, there's a gold screw. So that's what you're gonna turn with your screwdriver, but you'll have to do it with this panel open like this, because it's really hard to get it through that hole on the right side of the machine. So that adjustment you're gonna make, if your machine is pulling tight, then you wanna make sure you go counterclockwise on your turning of the screw. And then if you are pulling loose, then you wanna make sure you tighten it, so you go clockwise with your adjustment. Now that we've located the screw where you need to make the adjustment for calibration, we're gonna go ahead and check the tension. So there are tension calibrators on the market specifically for tennis. I use this fishing scale actually. It used to be sold by Grand Slam Stringers, which is now IART, the International Alliance of Racquet Technicians. They don't sell it anymore, but this is what I use. It actually works pretty good, because what I do is I'm gonna go ahead and mount that where this top bracket, this metal bracket right here, will be secured on this post over here. So on the machine here, what I do is I adjust this post so that it's at the very, the farthest away from the tension head. So now that you see it came out, I'm gonna just go ahead and reinsert it and just make sure that it's in the gear. So yeah, now it can't come out. So that, for this particular scale, it works really well for having it right there. All right, so the string that I have attached to it is made out of Kevlar, and there's a tubing attached to it. So if you haven't seen my video upgrading your tension calibrator, this was on there. So I'll provide that link below. All right, so let's say you have a different kind of tension calibrator that has a string tied on both ends. I don't have one of those digital ones, so I'll just use my spring tension calibrator as an example. And this is for swivel clamp machines. So what I would do, my first choice, if you can, bring the clamp that's closest to the tension head, make sure that it's pointing towards the tension head. So then that way, when you lock the clamp in place, and as you pull the calibrator and you check the tension, this clamp, there's no give to that because it's actually pointing in that direction. So you want to make sure that you clamp down on it, you back it up with a starting clamp here, and that would be my first choice. But in most cases, it might be not enough, it might not have enough room, because you can see how close this is to this Diablo. So if that doesn't work, then another method you could try is you could actually use both clamps. You turn the farthest one away, pointed to the tension head, so that one's going to be nice and secure. And then you can line up the other clamp like right up next to it. So you're going to go ahead and lock both of those in place. And after you lock them, then you go ahead and place the tension calibrator in both clamps. You just have to make sure that the string on this end is obviously long enough to reach your tension head. So you can go ahead and do it that way. A third option would be you just use the farthest clamp, and then you can just clamp down on one side, and then you can back it up with the starting clamp over here on this side. And again, just making sure that the string reaches the tension head. So those are some options if you have a tension calibrator that has a string tied on both ends. All right, so we're back with my tension calibrator. I have it hooked on this post over here. And I have my piece of Kevlar that I'm gonna hook on the other end. And you'll notice that it comes right up to the tension head gripper right perfectly because I custom made this length here. So I'm gonna go ahead and test it at 40, and the fact that it's a constant pull machine is the scale is not gonna read 40 every time. In fact, it's gonna be adjusting because it's constant pull to kind of get it to that 40 tension. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and pull it about 4 times and just kind of get an average of the reading that I'm getting. And I'm also gonna take note of when I hear the beep, I'm gonna look at the screen on the scale and make sure that it's plus or minus 0.5. And the reason why is I don't wanna let it just pull there and wait for it. I actually wanna time it with the beep, because when you're stringing a racket, typically you're gonna clamp onto the next string. As soon as you hear the beep, you wanna take off the clamp and pretty much put it on the next string. So I think it's good that you're calibrating your machine like how you would string a racket. So I'm gonna go ahead and do some test pulls at 40 pounds and see what I get here. All right, so the first one is 40.3. The next one is 40.04. We got 40 point, what was that? Look, I missed that. All right, that's at 40.04, and that's at 3.8. All right, now we're gonna go up to 50. And we'll do some pulls here. All right, so I got 49.78, got 50.5, I got 50.18, and got 50.08. Okay, I'm gonna go up to 60 pounds. Yeah, and I haven't screwed in this panel yet, because if you did have to make an adjustment, you want to still make sure you can lift up the panel and make the adjustment on that gold screw that I was talking about earlier. All right, so now we're at 60 pounds and doing some test pulls. We got 60.28. I got 59.74. Got 60.01. And got 60.22. So to me, that's acceptable. I'm gonna leave it as is, but if I had to calibrate it, I would go ahead and make the adjustment on that screw. So hopefully this helps, because I think it's important that you time the reading that you get with the beep. If you have a beep, make sure you turn it on. This video was inspired by a viewer that asked me specifically on how to calibrate his P7000 machine. But I also shared some tips on how to maintain string clamps, and also how to calibrate on a constant pull machine with a digital scale. If you folks would like to request for any future videos, please comment below, and hopefully I can create some interesting content in the future. Thanks for watching, happy stringing, and let your strings play.